17 Pacific Ocean. The deck of a U.S. destroyer suddenly switches to combat readiness mode. Radar scans sharply. The sailors receive the order, lock on target, don't breathe. Why? Because a Chinese Type 815A spy ship has just recklessly slipped straight into the U.S. fleet formation, thinking it can leisurely eavesdrop and then quietly leave. Their goal record, our electronic fingerprints, map out how to attack. But Beijing has no idea that in a few seconds, boom! That's the sound of electronic warfare responding. The U.S. Navy will launch a counterattack that will leave the entire Chinese command stunned. A humiliating lesson right at Guam's doorstep. The Pacific is no longer a quiet backwater. It's more like Times Square during rush hour. And America isn't traveling alone. Japan, Australia, India, and the Philippines form a complex security ecosystem. And Guam is the air traffic control tower for that entire ecosystem. Now, let's talk about the Type 815NA, the high-tech eavesdropper. This is an electronic reconnaissance ship designed to collect and analyze signals. It has massive ears, operates quietly, and tracks from a distance. Its strength is its ability to hoover up signals across a vast area. Its weakness: it has almost no self-defense and is completely dependent on its opponent actually making a signal. And that is exactly where America can exploit it. Just go silent for a moment and the Type 815A is instantly blind. Inside the Combat Information Center of the USS George Washington, an officer hits the MCON button. On the screen, every emission indicator radar comms flips to silent. The entire fleet plunges into electronic darkness. This is the U.S. Navy's classic, brutally effective response, turning the entire fleet into an electronic ghost. So, how can 100,000 tons of steel just disappear? To understand this, you need to know the George Washington is powered by two A4W nuclear reactors, each one a miniature power plant. Instead of noisy diesel engines, it has two nuclear hearts that produce almost no mechanical sound. It doesn't need to refuel for years and can maintain a steady 30+ knots without throttling up or down. This means when the U.S. kills the radar, cuts communications, and shuts down everything detectable, the ship itself is already incredibly clean from a distance. No signals, minimal noise, no comms chatter. It instantly melts into the ocean. The U.S. also uses nature like a seasoned sailor who knows these waters by heart. The fleet was operating near Guam, and that morning the U.S. knew the conditions were on their side. Low-level fog degraded optical observation. High humidity created noise for infrared sensors. A slight thermal inversion bent surface radar waves, making large targets appear small. And the sea state helped reduce the carrier's wake, the very thing drones and satellites use to track it. America didn't just turn off the lights. They turned them off at the precise moment the sky, the sea, and the atmosphere became their allies in stealth. The moment MCON was activated, China's Plan B was already in motion. From a coastal base, a WZ-7 soaring Dragon drone quietly slid down the runway and climbed into the sky. This is a high-altitude reconnaissance drone with a distinctive tandem wing design optimized to fly extremely high and extremely long, up to 60,000 feet, where the clouds themselves provide a natural cloak. From that altitude, the WZ-7 began its approach toward Guam, like a giant steel kite silently observing the vast ocean below. When Plan A, electronic eavesdropping, failed, China immediately switched to direct observation. The drone doesn't just look. It creates pressure, forcing the U.S. to react, reveal its position, or turn on its radar. Its goal was to spot the hidden American ships, map their movements, and identify potential weak points for the next move. The WZ-7's strengths are formidable. Flying at nearly 65,000 feet, it can survey an area of hundreds of square kilometers, virtually the entire naval theater. From above, it bypasses many of the stealth advantages a ship has. It can stay airborne for hours, patiently waiting for the U.S. to make a mistake. And its synthetic aperture radar, or SAR, can see through clouds and darkness, unaffected by weather. The U.S. could turn off its lights, but the WZ-7 could still paint a picture. Which leads to the question, if the U.S. isn't using its radar, who spotted the drone? Over 100 kilometers away, a P-3C Orion from the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force was on a routine patrol. Its APS-134 radar swept the ocean and picked up a strange signature, the Chinese WZ-7 climbing to altitude. The data was instantly shared via the Link 16 network, and within seconds the drone's position appeared on the American ship's combat displays. This demonstrates something: China doesn't have a network of allies that can see for you, think with you, and hide you when necessary. If the WZ-7 is a lurker outside your gate, the Japanese P-3C is the neighbor whose security camera sees the whole street and immediately tells you who's there, what they're doing, and where they're headed. You've been warned, but the lurker has no idea they've been seen. Knowing it was being watched, but not knowing how the Type 815A attempted another probe, it launched a small expendable decoy, hoping to bait an American radar into biting. It was a desperate attempt to see if anyone was still listening. No one bit. The silence was absolute. From the flight deck to the USS George Washington, 2 EA-18G Growlers roared into the sky, and slung under each wing were ALQ-218 Super Ears and ALQ-99 Illusion Machines, magic boxes capable of bending radar reality around them. First, ALQ-218 listened to everything: the enemy radar's frequency intensity scanning pattern and even its on and off rhythm. Like a master musician recognizing a single flute in a full orchestra, it could pick out the faintest signals amidst the chaos. Meanwhile, ALQ-99 performed the real trick, broadcasting mimic radar signals, creating false targets, and stretching positions to make a single contact appear as multiple carrier strike groups. Consequently, to the Chinese operators, their screens were drenched in neon confusion. Then, once the Growlers reached their ideal altitude, they began their radio frequency dance, jamming signals, generating phantom fleets and plunging Chinese sensors into total chaos. This wasn't mere defense. It was a counterattack designed to paralyze the enemy's decision-making. In effect, these Growlers became the magicians of the sky. No bombs were dropped. Yet, ghosts were painted on radar. As a result, instead of an empty sea, the Chinese screens now displayed not one, but 5 American carrier strike groups appearing simultaneously in multiple locations. The Chinese ship was flooded with fake information, unable to tell what was real. It's like being lost in a hall of mirrors, unable to distinguish a reflection from the actual exit. The US chose this moment perfectly. The waters near Guam are America's invisible home turf, an area monitored by undersea sensors, satellites, and electronic reconnaissance since the Cold War. The US knows the seabed topography, the atmospheric ducts, the air currents. This allowed the Growlers to use the environment to scatter their signals, making it even harder for Chinese radar to tell fact from fiction. Meanwhile, afternoon in the Pacific often brings strong fluctuations in the ionosphere. This is an enemy of radar, but a friend to the Growler. Just as the Chinese radar was struggling with natural interference, the Growler's gentle touch sent everything into total chaos. This attack exploited China's critical weaknesses. Their surface radars are powerful, but they are completely dependent on reflected signals. Jam them and their analysis is worthless. The Growlers hit this vulnerability head-on. Furthermore, while the US, Japan, and Australia share data in seconds, China's systems are slower, unable to cross-reference information from different sources in time to see through the deception. Their surveillance system is designed to collect a lot, but it's not known for its ability to filter noise. The Growlers overloaded it with signals, and China's ability to classify targets simply collapsed. On the other side of this, human beings were facing immense psychological pressure. A single wrong decision could mean ignoring a real threat or wasting time chasing a ghost. The high-tech war, in the end, came down to a test of human judgment under fire. While the Chinese ship was still tangled in the chaos, a real American P-8 Poseidon patrol aircraft suddenly dropped out of a cloud bank, diving toward the Chinese vessel and descending to a low altitude. On board, the crew scrambled. Radar operators frantically tried to distinguish real contacts from the phantom fleets, while the captain barked orders to increase speed and maneuver evasively. This was the final move, a decisive and public unmasking. The game was over. While the locksmith still fumbled with reflections in the Hall of Mirrors, the homeowner stepped out, flipped on the lights, and pointed directly at him. The P-8 was that floodlight. Its cameras and sensors locked onto the Chinese ship, capturing every detail: hull markings, antennae, and movement patterns. In a last-ditch attempt, the Chinese crew tried to jam the P-8's sensors and alter course, but it was too late. The message was unmistakable and needed no words. "We know you're here. We see everything you're doing. In this game, you've lost." With its cover blown and mission utterly compromised, staying any longer became both pointless and dangerous. The Type 815A slowly turned, picked up speed, and retreated from the area. On American displays, the red dot crawled away. The Chinese were left with no choice but to accept defeat. First, the discipline of silence. They knew exactly when to turn off the lights, with MCON procedures shutting down all electronic emissions. In doing so, they rendered an entire carrier strike group invisible to the Type 815A sensors. What looked like empty ocean to the Chinese vessel was actually a fleet lurking in plain sight, ready to react without revealing a single position. Silence became a weapon as lethal as any missile. Second, the power of allies. Coordination with Japan turned a solitary patrol aircraft into an extension of the fleet's eyes. Through Link 16, the P-3C Orion relayed critical data instantly, creating a networked defense web that multiplied situational awareness. A single drone that might have slipped past one fleet was now tracked and exposed from multiple angles. This wasn't just teamwork, it was a force multiplier showing that alliances can reshape the rules of engagement. Third, the mastery of reality. The EA-18G Growlers wielded ALQ-218 and ALQ-99 pods to manipulate the electromagnetic spectrum, generating phantom fleets and masking real positions. Suddenly, the hunter became the hunted. The Chinese operators were trapped in a hall of mirrors, unable to distinguish truth from illusion. With precision and timing, the US turned deception into dominance, forcing the opponent to reveal every weakness while exposing nothing themselves. Together, these elements formed a layered strategy where human discipline, technological sophistication, and allied coordination converged. Victory wasn't just about firepower, it was about thinking several moves ahead, controlling information, and turning the ocean itself into an ally. The biggest lesson from this engagement: in the modern ocean, strength isn't always measured by the roar of cannons or the flash of missiles. True power lies in the control of information, the unseen hand that shapes the battlefield before a single shot is fired. It's the quiet confidence born from disciplined cutting-edge technology and strong alliances, the kind that allows an entire fleet to vanish into the electromagnetic shadows, leaving your adversary scrambling in confusion. It's the ability to turn every move of the opponent into a window, revealing their vulnerabilities, all while remaining invisible yourself. But here's the question that lingers: is this silent warfare enough to prevent future aggression? Or are we merely watching the opening moves of a more intricate chess match? One where drones, satellites, and digital ghosts will make the board even more complex. Could the next engagement be even more unpredictable, testing the limits of strategy, patience, and human ingenuity? What do you think? Could the era of invisible fleets and electronic domination redefine naval power forever, or will the next challenger find a way to turn the tables? Leave your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to join the conversation.